Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make our little female American Indian figure, and she has a little baby in a papoose on her back, so we're going to make her. Now the things that we're going to need, I'm going to be using two caramel bands, one white band. I'm going to use, these are the light coffee by a brand called Loom bands, so I have two here and then I have some for the papoose as well. I'm using skin tone and black, turquoise and a dark brown. And I'm also going to be using two different types of beads. I'm using the regular mini pony bead for the main figure's eyes, which are 7mm by 4mm, but for the baby on the back I'm using the E-beads, the tiny little E-beads. I think these are a size 6, and I'm using black for those. If you don't have them, I don't think it really matters. I'm sure you could use bands or nothing even, you just say that the baby's asleep. To do these little tiny beads, I actually use a metal threader. And in my tips and tricks video, you will see there's a playlist for tips and tricks. I'll show you how to make a metal threader out of a twisty tie. So that will come in handy. So let's get started. We're going to start by making the baby, and as you can see I've twisted these bands on themselves. They're capped to make them smaller for the baby's head, and then the body is just normal. So let's get started. I'm going to move these beads out the way so I don't knock them everywhere. Take a single band. Now I should talk about our loom, shouldn't I? It's in single loom in the offset configuration, meaning columns 1 and 3 are going to be lower than column 2. Arrow is facing towards us, or the open part is facing towards us, and we will normally be double banding, but for the baby's face, because we want to make it smaller, we're going to take a single band and stretch it, twist it on itself, double loop it. I believe that's called a capped band, and we're going to do them like that instead of double banding, and this makes things smaller and tighter, which is why we do it for waists on female figures. So for the face, let's lay our bands. It does make it difficult to work with, more difficult to work with I should say, because they're tighter and you have more chance of them breaking. But as long as we're gentle, I think we'll be okay. So we'll lay the bands for the shape of the face. Now we're not doing hair, although I know some babies have hair. Our baby is not having hair. So we'll lay our bands. We're going to put a single one here, so take it and we'll double loop it on itself and place that there. Now here I'm going to take a single band, and what we need to do in order to keep it small like the rest of it, I need to be able to double it like that, and I'm going to twist it 3 times, and to do that I'm going to put it on the end of my hook. Okay, I'm going to pop one side here, I'm going to twist it once, twice and 3 times. I've done it on my hook like that because it's easier when it's so tight. Now for the eyes, I'm going to take a single band, loop it on itself like that, and I'm going to put my metal threader through one end like that. Okay, I'm just going to let those go. Now I have to thread these mini little E-beads on, so I'm going to pop those on my metal thread. Now you can use floss. There's a variety of different ways, and as I said, you don't have to use anything. Poke that through like so. We have to take our threader off, which makes things rather tight and squeezy, but there we go. I'm going to grab one side, and I'm using a small hook for that, and there's the other side. So I'm going to keep one side on my hook, I'm going to splay the other side out, and then I'm going to splay. I'm going to move my eyes so that they're either side of the middle column, like this. Get out of the way, you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke my hook down the center in between these two beads to find the top part of the band. So there should be two little portions of it that go above. I think I've got two there, and two little portions of it that go below, and that forms like a crossover band for us for our face. Now we're going to just use normal bands. Well, those were normal bands too, but we're not going to be doubling them on themselves. We're going to be using two, okay, and we're coming down for here 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we'll do our first one at a diagonal as if we were doing shoulders, like that, and then we're going to come down 1, 2, 3 and 4, and in the middle, and we'll do from either side, so from the center to the right, from the center to the left. I'm going to do some crossover bands, so a single, and we'll stretch it in a triangle like this. And then this one I'm going to double loop like that, so it brings it in a bit so that the bottom is a little bit fatter. And then what I'm going to do also is put an end cap here, so a single band, wrap it once and twice, and we'll pop that on the end, and that's our starting point. So dig down past the end cap that we just made, grab the two top bands, and we'll loop those to the side. And we'll loop the middle ones up. Now, tricky, remember what I said, these are tight because they've been twisted on themselves. Find your two top skin tone bands and you loop them to the corresponding side. And if you can see it's tight like that, twist your hook around the outside of the peg to release the pressure. So here we go, we're going up and up. Whenever you cap the bands like this, it is tight to work with. If you've done my mini starfish, you'll know it's much tighter than if you were just doing double bands. Okay, so at the top here, I'm going to take a double band, two bands, skin tone, put them on the end of your hook here, drag them back to the back side of this peg and tie off in a slip knot. Now, I do use a hook to help me take things off my loom. I always get scared that things are going to break, and I just feel that this releases some of that pressure on the bands so that there is less chance of things breaking. It's a more controlled way to take things off. So there's a small little head. That was a truck outside my house with very squeaky brakes. Sounded like somebody dying. So here we have our little baby in a papoose or swaddling. I'm going to hide these tie-off bands as best I can down the back here, and obviously I want to try and keep them under the skin tone coloured bands. So I'm just sort of working them around the back of the head here. There we go. So there's our little baby in a papoose, and that will go on the back. It kind of looks a bit like E.T., doesn't he? That will go on her back like this. I suppose if she had twins, there you go. So we'll put that to one side. We're not ready for that yet. What we're going to work on next is our little lady, and we are going to stay in the offset configuration. And I'm just putting my metal threader away so I don't lose it. We're staying in the offset configuration. We're going to start by doing the back of her hair, and this is a crafty ladybug technique. I know I say it all the time. If you haven't checked out her channel, please do so. She's got really lovely work. Double banding with black, and we will pop our bands on like so. Take a single and stretch it above those. Now before I put my crossover band here, what I'm going to do, we need to make her braids. So we're going to take a single band and wrap it once and twice. And we are going to do the braids capped, which means again we're going to take a single black band, figure 8, loop it on itself and slide on. And we're going to do 7 of these. That was the first one. So here's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So here's our first one, and we're going to pop that on here. So I'm just going to take those 2 bands off, slide this on and put those 2 bands back like that. That's our first braid. Let's do the second one. Single, wrap it once and twice, and now we do 7 capped, slide that on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I dropped a stitch. Let's go back and get that one. A stitch, a loop. I've been doing crochet too much, haven't I? So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 5, 6, and 7. And this one is going to go on here. Slide that on, pop that there. Now we need to do, I'm going to move these back, some skin tone bands for her neck. So 2, like that. We need a crossover band here, which is a black band single that you're going to stretch across, and we need an end cap here, so I'm going to take a single skin tone, wrap it once and twice and pop that on the end. Now we're going to go under that end cap here, hold it with your fingernail so it doesn't fly off, loop up, and then we're going to loop up the first 2 black to go to that side, the second 2 black bands to go this side, the middle one come up once and twice, and then each side comes up once, like that. Push them down. We're going to take some turquoise bands and you're going to do a figure 8 on your hook with one. The reason I do it like that is so we don't stretch them out of shape too badly. If you were to just stretch them into a figure 8 with your fingers, you would pull them a little bit more than is needed. I'm going to put 2 bands on each one, but I'm doing them separately so that they don't get too twisted. So there's our first one for the right, our second one, and then some for the middle. There's our first one, and there's our second one. We are now going to lay the bands for her face. And that's a dodgy band, let's put that out the way. And that's a dodgy band. Okay, push things down so I have room. I'm going to lay these skin tone. Try and make it so that they're not twisted. If you get them twisted of themselves, it kind of makes the face look a bit odd. It doesn't matter too much for the rest of her body, but the face definitely, it looks really odd if you have all these twisted bands. To the side. Oops. I need to push down a bit more. There we go. To the side, we're going to do a single skin tone across here as a crossover band. I'm going to take a single skin tone, twist it once, twice and 3 times to put across the eyes like that, and then I'm going to use my mini pony beads. These, as I said, are the 7mm by 4mm. If you don't have pony beads, you can just use bands. Wrap a single band around your hook 4 times and that equates to 1 bead. So you do it twice, and when I slide the beads onto the single skin tone band, you slide the bands on that you've just twisted. So let's place those either side of her face like that, and then this middle part of the band you're going to put your hook through and splay them so that one side goes above the top here. Alright, and I think this piggy tail looks slightly smaller than the other. Hopefully yours does not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the same, just must be the tightness. Alright, I'm now going to be moving to the dark brown. I'm sorry, I'm going to finish her neck off. Jumping ahead of myself here. Let's take 2 skin tone bands and place here for her neck. And what we're going to do is take the end cap that's here, that is skin tone, these ones at the bottom, lift them up and over those neck bands, and that locks the back of the head into the face, which is a really important step. Now we will start with the dark brown for her clothing. We're going to come down here for her shoulders, and we are double banding. And we'll come down 1, 2, 3. Hey, come here. And 4. And the same on the other side. Down the middle. We're going to do her buttons after the fact, after we take her off the loom. We're going to do skin tone for her legs. And we'll do brown for her boots. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the dark brown, 2 pair for the leg and 2 for the boot, like that. We're going to take 2 and go from the centre to the top here, centre to the other side there. Now the other thing that we want to do is have this little skirty bit here, and I want it to sit nicely, so I'm going to take 2 bands and wrap it once and twice, and then I'm going to slide that onto 2 bands like this. This is going to be the side of her skirt. Now if I just place that there, I think it's going to look it's going to be on top, the first part is going to be on top of her legs, and I don't think that's going to look very nice. So I'm just going to lift these off for a second, and I'm going to place this on here, and then I will replace the bands back. I just feel that it will look a lot nicer when we loop it up. So I'll place that there, and you see this will go on top, and then it will look like the skirt bit is either side. We'll do the same on this side. It's just aesthetics, I guess it doesn't really matter. Wrap once and twice, slide on to another 2, pretty it up if you need to, make it nice and even. I'm going to put one side here, put my skin tone back on, and then these 2 back on here. We're going to do single brown bands as our crossovers, so stretch it across like that, and 1 at the top. Now these 2 middle, we're going to do a single that you loop on itself. So it's a single band looped on itself, so stretch it out, figure 8, and that gives her a smaller waist. Alright, so we've done that. Now I have, as I said, we're going to do the 2 blue buttons after the fact. We're going to do 2 sides of her belt. So take 1 band and do a figure 8, and we will put that, I'm going to put that right here. Now when we loop this in, we do have to remove this this band, but that's okay. I'm going to do the other one here for the other side, and we'll do the middle one after the fact. So that will be there. Let's do her hands, a single skin tone, wrap once and twice, slide onto a pair, and then 4 pair of brown. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pop that on one shoulder. Do the same for the other side, a single, wrap it once and twice, slide onto a pair, and then we need 4 pair of the dark brown. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll pop that here on this shoulder. We're going to do her boots. So we'll take 2 bands, wrap them around our hook once and twice, and slide onto 2. do not reclaim just yet. Alright, let's take another 2, wrap once and twice, and now reclaim those. And now we're going to take another 2 and slide these on. I like to do the first 2 that we did on first, then the wrapped band, so that it doesn't get all tangled, and then the last 2. Reclaim the end of your bands, angle your foot, and pop on the end of her leg. Do the same for the other side. 2, wrap once and twice, slide onto 2. Don't reclaim just yet, take another 2, wrap once and twice, and now reclaim, and you're sliding onto 2. There's our first 2 over. Here's our wrapped band going over, and our last 2. Reclaim, angle your foot, and pop on the end of the leg like that. Let's see where we're at. We've got boots, we've got legs, we've got the skirt, we've got arms, we've got the belt. We're doing the middle part of the belt after. We're doing the buttons after. Have her hair, her face. I think we're ready to start looping up. So we'll start down here. Oh, I know what we need to do, an end cap. Let's do that right now. Single band, wrap twice, and pop that right here. Let's begin looping. Dig down and find the 2 bottom brown bands for her legs. Pass those shoe bands, and we loop her boots up. And we loop her legs up. And the skin is going to go first. Okay, then we'll dig down here and grab these 2 side ones and loop those in. And loop these side ones in as well. Now we need to put these little loops back on for her dress. So put that, hey, there's one, let's get the other one. Grab those, splay it open and pop on the peg, and do the same the other side. There we go. Now we're going to loop in the rest of her dress, so dig down, and you need to find the bottom 2 brown bands and loop that up. That now locks that into place. Do the same on the other side, the bottom 2 brown bands. Let's loop this middle one up and up and up. Now, before we loop this, I'm going to release this, okay, and we'll loop this side up first. We're going to do the black band, so you've got your top 2 bands here and the bottom 2. We're going to push our hook under the bottom 2 and grab the black band, pull it round to the back and forward like that. Then we're going to lift these top 2 bands up, and you have to grab your crossover band and put that back in position, and then put those top 2 bands back in place. Let's do the same here. This time we'll release this side, we'll loop up, go under the bottom 2 bands, grab the black band, pull it around to the front, pretty it up. You're going to go down and grab the 2 top brown bands, get your crossover band, pull it back into place, and replace the bands that you had just looped up. Let's do the arms. So we'll go under, grab one arm, loop it to the center, grab the other arm, loop it to the center, and now we'll loop up the center of our chest, 1 and 2. So we're at the neck. Dig down and find those skin tone bands and loop up. If it's tight, put your hook around the outside of the peg, twirl it around a bit and loosen it up. We're going to find the top 2 skin tone bands, loop to the side, same for the other side, and for the center. Now be careful with the center because you have an end cap here that is skin tone as well, and you don't want to get that in the way as well. Try and make it so that there's no twists. There we go. Now we're doing the skin tone on either side of the face. Again, try and make sure there's no twists. It looks better with no twists in them. Come here, Tricky. There we go. Dig down and we're going to find the black bands and loop up on each of these. There's 3 like that. Now what we're going to do, going down, you've got the first 2 black ones, the second 2, you're going to push your hook under the second 2 and we're going to grab those turquoise bands, push your hook round to the front of the peg, the back side of the peg here, and pull them forward. And this is her headband. We'll do her feather after the fact, by the way. Do the same, pull it forward. If there's a band that is left behind, you can go back and grab it. There we go. Let's do this center one. The center one is always the hardest, I find. There we go, like that. Let's dig down and dig down. We're going to take 2 black bands to tie off with. Push your hook down the center and out through the side, and we will pull this through. And you'll take one over the other, tie off in a slip knot. Alright, let's take her off the loom. Gently does it. Okay, so we've taken her off the loom and stretch her into shape a little bit. I usually tend to pull the arms up and down so that she doesn't look like she's directing traffic quite as much. We're going to hide these, let's move the loom out of the way, hide these black bands at the back of her head here, so we'll go under some of these black bands here and pull these under like that. And then what I'm going to do is go through the side here where there's a gap between the hair and the skin tone, and I'm going to again grab the black bands. I'm trying to be careful that I don't get in the way of the turquoise and ruin those, and I want to grab these black bands, the tie-off bands, and pull them under and hide them in here like that. Okay, now the fun starts. What we're going to do, we need to tie a knot in each of these. As you know, I'm not the best at tying knots, so I'm going to do it on my loom. I'm going to do a figure 8, so take my band and do a figure 8 with this single band on my loom. I'm then going to do another figure 8 here and then put that band back up. So the bottom one has a figure 8 and the top bit does not. I'll do the same again. Do a figure 8, do another figure 8 and pop it back, oops, on my loom like this. Then all you do is grab the bottom figure 8 and move it over the top. So the bottom bit that's in the figure 8 and move it over that top band. And this is a DIY Mummy's little girl twigged on how to do these little knots. So there you go. Isn't that fantastic? There's little knots in. These are going to be her buttons. Alright, so let's take the first one. I'm going to stab her through her chest. It's very violent Thanksgiving. Stab her through her chest, grab the loop of one of those and pull it to the back. I'm going to leave it on my hook and I'm going to poke my hook back through the next spot and pull the other loop through as well, like that. And then I'm going to take the one closest to me up and over the one nearest the end of my hook, like that. Then I'm going to go back through that same spot, grab the next button, the loop, and pull it forward. And again I'm going to take the one closest to me, up and over, and I'm going to go back into a new spot, and I don't want it to be too far, so let's try and get that. Well, that's about right. And get the last loop and pull it through, and again the one closest to me, up and over. So you've sort of tied these into little loops like that. So these are her buttons. Now we obviously have to do the center part of her belt. So with this blue still on, I'm going to go through the spot where the belt meets here in the middle. So I'm going to go through there like that. I'm going to take a single black band and pull one side through like that, and I'm going to move the blue band up and over so that I just have that one black band, that loop on my hook. I'm going to turn my hook around, and I'm going to go through the other side where the other black belt comes through. So here I am here, grab the other end and pull that loop through like that. Now I'm going to use a dark brown band to tie off with because that's the colour of her outfit. So I've got both those black loops on my hook. I've put the brown band through them like that, and I will tie off in a slip knot. There's our belt and our buttons. What I'm going to do now is sort of, as I hide this, I'm going to do it so that I'm trying to cover the blue at the back here. So I'll just go under a band here, and then I will go over this side and back over this side. So I'm trying to just sort of hide the blue band just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I just think it looks nicer if you can sort of hide it like that. Okay, so the next part that we need to do is her little feather for her hair, and we're going to take a caramel band, wrap it around her hook once, twice and 3 times. Take another caramel band, stretch it, figure 8, loop it on itself, and slide that first caramel band onto it and reclaim. We're going to take a white band, figure 8 it, so you've looped it on itself, and pull it through. I'm now going to use the light coffee, and I have 2 of them. I'm going to do the first one like that, and reclaim, and I'm going to do the second one the same, like that, and reclaim. Now, if you have a look here, I've actually tied it off with a turquoise band so that it fits in with her headband a little bit more. So I will get one turquoise band and I'm going to thread it through. I'm going to slide those over onto it like that and move it to the middle of the band. Now, how I want this is I want the feather to go at the back here, and I'm going to push my hook through from the bottom to the top, grab one loop one side and pull it through. I'm going to do the same on the other side, push my hook through, and I've kept that loop on my hook. Push my hook through the blue bands, grab the other loop and pull it through. So I have both loops here. I'm going to take one over the other and I'm going to hold it with my fingers. I'm going to go from the front of the feather to the back and pop out here, grab that loop and pull it back, and I'm going to splay the loop open and pop the feather through like that. Okay, so that is how I attach the feather, and if you need to, you can pull these down just a little bit to the sides of her head like that. Pretty it up how you want. Now for the baby, I used dark brown, 2 dark brown bands, okay, and I went through the side. Now I've left one of the bands there, so I'm on the second. So you've got the head, I've got 1 band, and then these are the 2, and I took a brown band, slide it through, okay, like that, and then I'm going from the back to the front, and I'm going to do a slip knot like that. Okay, so again on the other side, and I'm going from the back. There we go, I think this is right. No, I was right the other way. There we go, back to the front. So there's the slip knot, so you've got your baby like this suspended. What I'm going to do is poke one of those brown loops through her arm here, and she wears the papoose like a backpack. Take the other and thread that through her arm like this. So she's wearing the backpack. Now get those 2 loops here, okay, and you're going to get another dark brown band and do a slip knot with them like this. Okay, can you see? Take one over the other. I'm not going to do it too tightly because you might want to take the baby off her. I'm going to splay this loop over her head so that she wears that around her neck like a little harness. And to keep her pigtails at the front, what I did for that was just 2 black bands, and I have to say I wasn't terribly inventive with it. Let's make this band sit nicely where I want it to. So what I did for the hair, I just poked my hook through one of the shoulder bands like this, and with a black band I just went through and looped it like that. It's not even tied. Splay it out and pop the pigtail through, and it keeps it on the front like that. I mean, yes, it's not very secure, but it really didn't need to be. Do that on the other side as well. Splay it out, grab the pigtail and pull it forward, and that just kept her pigtails at the front of her outfit. If you want to pretty her boots up a little bit, all you need to do is take a brown band to make it look like it's got a cuff at the top, and loop it once like so, and again on the other side. So that the boots look like they have a little cuff on the front of them. And there you have our little American Indian female with her baby in a papoose on her back. I really hope you enjoy making her. Take care. Bye bye.